By golly, it's amazing. It sounds like something you'd hear on the radio.
Presenting the transcription feature.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the expert.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Johnny Dollar.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve.
And now meet Dick Calmer as Boston Blackie.
It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented transcribed by the makers of Rexall drug products.
And now it's time to meet the men from the ministry.
The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service presents the Bob Hope Show with Les Brown and his band of renown. And yours truly, Bill Goodwin. And now here he is, Bob Hope.
Greetings, I'm Kevin Lauderdale. Let's start the new year off with a couple of New Year's episodes. First off, it'll be New Year's Eve 1952 with an episode of Fibber McGee and Molly. Got nothing to say about this episode, it's all self-explanatory, except that I love that Wistful Vista, a tiny little nowhere town, has its own country club. Of course it does. From December 30th, 1952, Fibber McGee and Molly, The New Year's Dance.
The Reynolds Aluminum Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. The Reynolds Metals Company, makers of Reynolds Aluminum, presents Fibber McGee and Molly transcribed with Bill Thompson, Arthur Q. Bryant, Dick LeGrand, Gil Stratton Jr., and me, Harlow Wilcox. The show is written by Phil Leslie and Keith Fowler and directed by Max Hutto with music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. If houses could talk, yes, if houses could talk, they'd be asking many a homeowner to make a special resolution for this new year. They'd say, resolved, that never again shall rain or melted snow pour off my eaves and down my walls, to freeze for people to slip on in winter, to make mud for kids to track in summer. They'd say every home deserves good, tight, rust-proof gutters and downspouts. Yes, rust-proof, because a rusted, leaking gutter can be worse than none at all. Well, now, of course, the answer is Reynolds Lifetime Aluminum gutters and downspouts. They cost much less than any other rust-proof material. They go up so easily without any soldering. And they look really handsome, forever, without painting. Make a resolution now to put up Reynolds Lifetime Aluminum gutters. See your local dealer or write to the Reynolds Metals Company, Louisville 1, Kentucky. Year after year, a certain citizen of Wistful Vista has tried to wangle an invitation to the New Year's Eve dance at the country club, with no luck. But today is different, because look who's bursting through the front door now with a loud mouthful of happy talk as we join Fibber McGee and Molly.
Hey, Molly.
Here I am, McGee. What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. Kiddo, I'm carrying the biggest piece of news since Paul Revere left the livery stable. We are going to the dance at the country club tonight.
You're joshing.
I'm not joshing. Not only that, my dear. We're going as old man McDonald, the president of the Third National Bank, and his wife's guests.
Oh, McGee.
Yes, sir.
I've been dreaming of that country club dance for years.
Well, this is it.
Well, now, if this turns out to be a joke by the Seven Sisters of Maud Murphy, you'll regret it.
You just listen, kiddo. I'll tell you how it happened. I was driving back this morning from 2 holes of golf.
Yeah?
I lost my ball on the 30th. And there, stalled beside the road, was old man McDonald's car. You know, that big black limousine that looks like it's on its way to a gangster funeral?
I know on.
Well, old man McDonald had his head in the hood, see? And he was littering the highway with dirty spark plugs and dirtier language. Well, I stopped and went over to him.
Friendly, was he?
Well, we exchanged greetings. I said, having trouble? And he said, no, I stopped here for a picnic, you idiot.
This begins to have the ring of truth, McGee. Go on.
Finally, he yanked out the carburetor and threw it at a nearby gopher, and we got to talking.
What'd he say?
He said he started for the country club on account of he was chairman of the dance committee and wanted to check the decorations.
Now I see. You drove him to the club.
Right. There and back. Oh, he was real grateful, kiddo. Softened up like a bar of soap in a Turkish bath.
And that's when he invited us to the dance,
Yep,
huh?
while we were out at the club. He even gave me one of his special Corona Balloona cigars. You know, the kind he only hands out to personal friends about the size of a salami.
Well, you never mind the Corona baloney now. We're really going to the country club,
You
huh?
betcha. We're mixing with the E-Light tonight, baby. And you'll be the belle of the ball. That's what you'll be, the Bella.
Oh, McGee, it's like a wonderful dream.
Yeah, me too.
For years we've tried to get invited to that dance.
Yeah.
So you don't think we'll be snubbed when we get there?
Them snobs snub us? You're the guy that old man McDonald gave a Corona Balloona cigar to his wife. That means we're in, kiddo. This is it. The rest of them may be the upper crust, but old man McDonald is the caraway seed on the top of it. Why, with him behind us, Molly, we...
Come in.
Hi, daughter. Hi, Johnny. Hello there, kids.
Well, hello, Mr. Oldtimer.
Hi, old-timer.
What you doing for New Year's Eve, kids?
Oh.
Want to come out with me and throw rocks at the street lamps?
Not us. We're going to the dance at the country club, boy.
Oh, too bad. I was counting on you.
Yeah?
I ain't had a real big New Year's Eve since I was with that old gang of mine.
Oh, dear.
Oh, I sure miss them kids.
Really?
Gee, but I'd give the world to see that old gang of...
Oh, wait. Don't get carried away.
Oh, what a great old gang.
Yeah?
There was Eddie and Jim and Teddy and Slim. There was Iggy and Mike and Piggy and Hortense Mandelbaum.
Hortense Mandelbaum. Why would she want to be in the gang?
Just got tired of being a campfire girl. The fun we had on New Year's Eve.
Yeah?
The old gang had us a two-piece band, kids.
Yeah?
And every year we played for the dance at the Daughters of the Volunteer Firemen's Hall.
A two-piece band, huh? Must have been pretty sad music with just two instruments.
Oh, we had plenty of instruments, Johnny.
Oh?
But we could only play two pieces.
Yeah.
Old Lang Syne and John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave.
And you played those two all evening?
Nope. We saved Old Lang Syne until midnight. The rest of the time, John Brown's soul went marching on at different speeds.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't there to hear that.
Johnny, until you've heard John Brown's body played as a rumba, you just ain't lived. It was cool, man.
Real George, eh?
I'm sure it was delightful.
One year we figured out a special stunt.
Yeah?
I dressed up as the New Year's baby with a bed sheet wrapped around my middle.
Well, that's a novel idea.
At midnight, the crowd stopped dancing. The boys struck up Should Old Acquaintance Be Forgot. I walked out on the stage, and the end of my sheet got caught in the xylophone.
And you kept walking?
Yep, and my sheet kept unwinding. I was one old acquaintance that crowd never forgot. Happy New Year!
Billy Mills in the orchestra and Glowworm.
excited about tonight, McGee?
Yeah, you said it, me too.
The country club dance at last.
Yeah.
Ah, that's high society.
Yeah. You stick with me, Tootsie, and I'll get you into society so high your nose will bleed.
My, I've just got a million things to do this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'll go to the beauty shop.
And I'll go to the barber shop.
Oh, I can't wait to spread the word around at the beauty shop.
Yeah, and I'll spread the word around at the barber shop, too. And the Elks Club, and Kramer's Drugstore, and any place else I can trap an audience. Boy, will I tell Doc Gamble.
Oh, when I tell Mabel, too. Who's that?
Oh, looks like the kid from Kramer's Drugstore. Come in.
Hello, Ed. Come in.
Hello, Mrs. McGee. Hi, Mr. McGee.
Oh, hi, Eddie.
I can't stay but a minute. I was out delivering stuff for Mr. Kramer this morning, and I lost something somewhere, so I was kind of backtracking.
Well, you didn't come here today, Ed.
Well, I didn't think so, but, gosh, I stopped to see my new girl for a minute this morning, and I kind of got absent-minded. Mr. Kramer was pretty sore when I came back without it.
What, Ed? What'd you lose?
His truck. I left it someplace.
My gosh, boy, you must have got absent-minded.
Sounds like quite a girl, Ed.
Oh, Virginia's real dreamy, Mrs. McGee.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. We're going to the football game tomorrow. Wistful Vista College plays Slow Rapids Agricultural in the Rhubarb Bowl.
Well, that ought to be a titanic struggle.
Oh, Virginia's one of the cheerleaders. Twirls the baton, too.
Oh.
Sounds like a talented girl.
Oh, sure is. Her girlfriends claim that she's got a swelled head, but she hasn't really.
Oh?
It's just a little lumpy from the baton falling on it. Oh, I wish you could come to the game tomorrow and watch her work.
Well, we'll be out late tonight, Edward. The country club dance, you know.
Oh, you should see her go. Oh, she sort of throws her head back and her golden curls kind of stream out in the breeze, and she opens her little rosebud mouth and says, "Break their backs, break their necks, turn them into total wrecks." Oh, gee.
Yeah. Sounds very glamorous, Ed. You think the team will win tomorrow?
Well, we could, Mr. McGee. We haven't won a game this year so far.
My goodness, must be a pretty terrible team.
No, we got some darn good players in there. There's a halfback named Crazy Legs Brown who's a great runner, and an end named Crazy Hands Jones who's a great pass catcher.
Well, then how come they never win a game?
Well, I think it's the fault of the quarterback, the way he calls the signal.
Oh?
His name is Crazy Head Smith. Well, I better get back to Virginia's. Back to Kramer's. Goodbye now.
Yeah, well, so long, Ed.
Isn't he cute,
Yeah.
McGee? You know, when those youngsters fall in love, they really forget everything.
Mr. McGee, excuse me.
Yeah, Ed.
What did I come by here for?
Kramer's truck, remember?
Oh, that's right. I lost it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Where were we when he came in?
Well, we were talking about all the things I have to do this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Take your tux to have it cleaned.
Yeah.
Go to the beauty shop. Say, do you think I ought to wear a corsage tonight?
Not with your figure, kiddo. You don't have to strap yourself into one of them whalebone jackets.
McGee, a corsage is a bunch of flowers.
Oh, corsage. Oh, sure, I'll get you some flowers. Yeah, not a little dinky bunch either. How'd you like a double chrysanthemum to stick in your hair? Or maybe a horseshoe of roses to hang around your neck?
No, dearie, all I want is an orchid. Just one teeny orchid.
Oh, just one orchid. Okay, if you say... Hey, I'll call Bagley's Flower Shop and tell them to send one over right away. Hello, operator. Give me Bagley's Flower Shop. That's B-A-G. Is that you, Mert?
Oh.
How's every little thing, Mert? It is, eh? What's that, Mert? Your brother went hunting. Oh, shot a wild lion down, eh?
He was shooting wild lions in Africa?
No, ducks at Dugan's Lake. Shot standing up for a while, and then he shot a wild lion down. What's that, Mert? Yeah, well, I didn't do it right anyway. Okay. The line's busy. I'll call him later.
We can stop by there. You better get the car out and I'll put on my face.
Okay.
Hello, Molly. Hi, pal.
Hello, Mr. Wilcox.
Hi, Junior. I'd ask you to sit down, except for two things. One, you're already sitting down, and two, get up. We're getting ready to leave.
We are going to the country club dance, Mr. Wilcox.
Oh, my gosh.
I and Molly are going to be the guests tonight of old man and Mrs. McDonald, the banking family, you know.
Oh, yeah. Say, that's a pretty fancy crowd, that country club set.
Yeah, my friend Mac was telling me they're leaving next week for a vacation trip, Junior. Wanted me to come along, but he didn't say so.
his friend Mac, that's Mr. Old Man McDonald.
Well, say, I could tell him about a wonderful spot, pal.
Yeah?
One of the most beautiful winter vacation places of all. The island of Jamaica in the West Indies.
Jamaica, huh? Well, come on, Molly, let's get it.
The winter vacationer will find everything in Jamaica, kids. Golden beaches, palm trees, luxurious hotels. You can get a travel folder on Jamaica by just writing for it, pal.
Oh, you can?
Sure. All you do is write Jamaica on a postcard with your name and address and send it to Box 319, Radio City, New York 20, New York. That's Box 319, Radio City, New York, New York. You'll not only find a beautiful vacation spot, but you'll find something else that's very important, too.
What's that, Mr. Wilcox?
Bauxite.
You got indigestion, son?
Bauxite, pal, is the ore from which aluminum is made.
Oh, you're always sticking your oar in, Junior.
You see, Jamaica has the world's largest deposits of bauxite. Yes, and Reynolds Jamaica Mines Limited has pioneered in their development.
Now he's sneaking the Reynolds boys in by way of Jamaica. Come on, let's sneak out of here, Molly. We gotta get...
The Reynolds Metals Company is building a huge new processing plant near Corpus Christi, Texas, right now, to take care of that Jamaica bauxite.
Oh?
They already have an aluminum plant there with a capacity of 160 million pounds a year.
Well, I'm glad they're getting a new one. Must have been awful cramped in that little old 160 million joint. Well, grab your hat, Molly. We got
And wait a minute. At Arkadelphia, Arkansas, another new Reynolds aluminum plant will add 120 million pounds yearly.
Hardly worth mentioning. Grab your tux.
Yeah, in 1953, the Reynolds Metals Company will reach a total production capacity of 829 million pounds a year.
Wow.
Think of it. 829 million pounds of aluminum.
Yeah, that ain't tin. Well, grab your coat, Molly. We gotta get...
Well, that's Reynolds' New Year's report to the nation.
Yeah.
More aluminum, more vitally needed aluminum.
Yeah.
You want more figures? More statistics?
No. Just more silence. That's McGee's New Year's report to Wilcox. More silence. More vitally needed silence.
Somewhere back there you mentioned Jamaica, Mr. Wilcox. It sounds lovely, and if any of those country club people mention winter vacations, I'll see that McGee tells them where to go.
Well, I hope he gets a chance before they tell him where to go. So long, kids.
I'll back the car out, Molly. You put on your coat and let's get on downtown.
Let's see. I left my evening slippers at the shoe shop. Your tux will be ready. Oh, there's Mrs. Spradley's limousine.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Mrs. Spradley. See you at the country club dance tonight. Her car windows were closed.
Yeah. Going 40 miles an hour, too. What were you saying?
I say your tux will be ready when we start home.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Oh, hello, Dr. Gamble.
Well, season's greetings, my dear. Hiya, Clodhead.
Hello, Satchel Bottom. I'd like to stop and gab with you, but I find it too dull. So long.
Hey, wait a minute. What's the hurry?
Tell him, Molly, tell him.
Well, you'll be interested to know that we're going to the country club dance tonight, Doctor.
Oh? Well, congratulations. I didn't know you moved in those circles.
Well, we will from now on, Beltbuster. Must seem pretty impressive to a guy that the only circles he moves in are the ones his tummy makes as he waddles along on his little duck feet.
Where'd you get the invitation, Molly? It was you they invited, of course.
It was not.
Oh?
For your information, and boy, do I love to do this to you, Old Man McDonald asked me.
Good heavens, that twitch of his must be worse than I thought. Seemed all right yesterday, but I better go and see him.
Now, wait a minute. Quit crying, you big faker. Look how scared he is, Molly. He's afraid I'll start taking my business to Dr. Goldenrod, you know, the society doctor. But don't worry, little boy, don't worry. I'll still drop into your humble office now and then and let you give me a check.
Oh, thank you. That's more than you've given me since 1939.
You'll probably see our pictures in the society news tomorrow, Fatso. That country club bunch is my type of people, you know.
My heart bleeds for them.
I like the type of people that know how to enjoy living. There's some very high livers in that crowd, boy.
Yes, and some very low stomachs. Happy New Year, Molly. Goodbye.
So long,
The King's Men with wonderful Copenhagen and no two people.
Copenhagen, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. merry night. Let us clink and drink one down. To wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen, saw the old queen of the sea. Once I sailed away, but I'm home today, singing Copenhagen, wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen for me. Wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen, what a town, what a sweet, wonderful town. What a merry, merry sight on this merry, merry night. Let us clink and drink one down.
Come on and drink her down too.
Wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen, saw the old queen of the sea. Once I sailed away, away, but I'm home again today, in the arms of the only one I love.
Two people have ever been so in love.
Been so in love. Been so in love.
I'm telling you, no two people have ever been so in love as my lovey-dove and me. Mrs. Unique, the positive peak.
Oh, we are the most unusual couple in
No two people have ever mooned such a moon, such a
June, such a June, spoon, such a spoon.
I mean to say, no two people have ever been so in tune as my macaroon and I. And when we kiss, and when we kiss, and when we kiss, and when we kiss,
it's historical, hysterical, cataclysmic. Wow! No two people have ever been so in love, been so in love, been so in love as we. No wonder it's wonderful here in Copenhagen for me.
Hurry up, dearie. I'm due at the beauty shop.
Yeah, I want to get that barber shop. Oh, wait. I want to tell Ole about tonight. Hey, Ole. Hi, boy.
Well, hello, missus. You too, McGee.
Hello, Ole.
We haven't got time to stop and talk, Ole. We're going to the country club dance.
Well, I didn't holler at you, McGee. You was the fella that hollered at me.
Yeah, well,
I was just stood here sweeping off the Elks Club steps, and you hollered, hey, Ole, hi, boy. Ain't that so, missus?
That's right, Ole.
Yeah.
And don't call me boy.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that I and Molly...
Move the feet, McGee. I'm sweeping.
Oh. Well, anyhow, I and Molly are going to the country club dance tonight with my old friend, Old Man McDonald.
Your old friend?
Yeah.
That's the old man McDonald that last week you left your umbrella in the chair, and after he sat on it, his chest you clear around the lobby trying to stab you with it? That old friend?
Well, we were just playing.
Maybe you were playing, but if I didn't trip McDonald with a pool cue, I'd be one of your pallbearers now. Move the feet, McGee.
Huh? Oh. Well, if anybody's looking for me around here tonight, Ole, Wimp or Mort Toops or anybody, just tell them I and Molly are at the country club dance, will you?
Give your wife my regards, Ole, and Happy New Year to you both.
Well, thank you, missus. And to you, I say Happy New Year, too. And to you, McGee, all I can say is move the cockeyed feet.
Oh. So, if you give me a good job of barbering, Frank, I'll throw all my friends at the country club's business your way. Hey, watch that razor, boy. I got tender ears.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. Give me another hot towel first. I figure a guy ought to look his best for a country club dance. My wife's over at the beauty shop getting the works. Like I said to my old friend, Old Man McDonald, you call that a hot towel, Frank? Give me a hot one.
Yes, sir.
Mac, I said, if I was you, I'd take the $40 million and I'd have me invest it for you. Because I...
Hot towel.
Now!
Now, just relax, Mrs. McGee, and I'll give you your facial.
All right, go ahead.
I'll pack the cream firmly into the skin, dear.
When we get to the country club dance tonight with Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, I want to look my best.
Oh, you will, dear. Your skin is just a little dry, but
well, I'm sure you'll fix it beautifully. You did such a wonderful job on my friend Mabel Toops. When she came in here last week, her face looked like a cheap alligator purse.
Yes, I remember.
But when you got through with her, it looked like fine, expensive leather.
There you are, Mr. McGee. Shave, haircut, and a singe. Anything else?
Yeah. Douse me with the most expensive smelling stuff you got in the shop, Frank.
Yes, sir. Coming up.
You about ready to go, McGee? It's 6:30.
Any minute, kiddo. Oh, come on, slap it on, Frank. Ah. Boy, that smells great. Hey, Molly, can you smell it?
Oh, indeed I can, dearie.
Yeah. back up about 3 steps, will you? You smell it now?
Yes, I can.
Well, back up a little more. You still smell it?
No, I can't smell it outside here.
Well, come on, douse me again, bud. I want them country clubbers to know I'm coming the minute I hit the driveway. Dead rat, these bow ties anyhow. Collar keeps popping open and... there. If I can keep that collar closed till I get my tie tied now.
Well, I'm all ready to go, McGee. How do I look? What time is it and how you doing?
Well, beautiful, 8:30, and awful. I can't get my bow tie tied.
Here, let Mother do it. Hold your chin up. Now hold up the other one. That's it. Men don't know how to tie ties.
Well,
There you are. Ah, you look so handsome.
Oh, sure.
What an evening this will be. That was certainly a lucky break this morning when Mr. McDonald's car broke down.
Yeah, well, I'll get your coat.
How does my dress look in the back? All right?
Oh, it looks wonderful.
Oh.
You'll be the darling of the social set tonight.
Oh?
If you could have saw me walking around that country club this morning, waving that Corona Valuna cigar and criticizing the decorations, you'd have been so proud. Ah, just when we're trying to leave. Come in.
Hey, daughter. Hey, Johnny, did you hear the news? A fire, big fire.
Fire?
Where?
I just come from watching it, kid.
Where?
The country club. Burned to the ground.
The country club? Why, that can't burn down. We're going
Oh,
out.
it was quite a sight, kids. Clean to the ground.
Oh, this is awful. Do they know what caused it?
The insurance people are working on it now, son.
Yeah?
Seems like somebody laid a Corona Balloon cigar down this morning that fell in a pile of decorations. Smoldered a while.
Oh, this is just sickening.
Burned clean to the ground.
Fibber and Molly return in a moment. To all of you, when you sing Auld Lang Syne tomorrow night, we hope you are surrounded by good friends, by old acquaintances who should not be forgot. That's the human side of living. But in material things, what you look for always is the new, the better way. And in your kitchen, in all your cooking and food keeping, that means Reynolds Wrap. The original and genuine, the pure aluminum foil. Make sure you start the new year right by stocking up on Reynolds Wrap at your grocer's. He has it in standard 25-foot rolls and in jumbo economy rolls 75 feet. Ask for it by name, Reynolds Wrap. Made by the world's largest producers of aluminum foil, the Reynolds Metals Company.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you have better luck with your New Year's Eve plans than Molly and I did.
Yes, but whatever your plans for seeing the new year in, please be careful.
And whatever you do, drive carefully.
Please drive carefully. Don't get hurt. It's not a very happy new year when you look at it from a hospital bed.
Good night, and Happy New Year.
Good night, all.
The Reynolds Metals Company, pioneers of progress through aluminum, brings you Fibber McGee and Molly each week at this time. Reynolds Aluminum also brings you Mr. Peepers, starring Wally Cox on NBC television Sunday nights. See your local paper for time and channel. And don't forget to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
Transcribed. Tonight, play Two for the Money with Herb Schreiner on NBC.
That was New Year's Eve. Now let's jump forward to just past New Year's Day. It's January 3rd, 1939 on Information Please, the quiz show, with a female guest panelist. We don't often get one of those. Cornelia Otis Skinner was an actress and author, probably best known for Our Hearts Were Young and Gay, the 1942 memoir written with Emily Kimbrough about the two's post-college European tour in the 1920s. Wrong Way Corrigan has been mentioned before, but just a reminder, Douglas Corrigan, the aviator, who, after flying from Long Beach, California to New York City, thought he was returning, but somehow went in the wrong direction, flying from Brooklyn to Ireland. Didn't he see the Atlantic Ocean? No, he blamed it all on cloud cover. He arrived in County Dublin on July 18th, 1938, after a 28-hour, 13-minute flight. His plane was a 9-year-old Curtiss Robin monoplane. Jimmy Hines was 1920s to 30s political boss. He held a lot of sway in New York City's Tammany Hall. A mistrial was declared in one of his prosecutions when there was confusion over the term poultry racket, a possible corruption of policy racket, or the numbers game, one of those many illegal lotteries that pervaded New York and that brought millions of dollars to organized crime at the time. From January 3rd, 1939, information please, guests Cornelia Otis Skinner and Erwin Edgar.
Information, please. Presented each week at this time by Canada Dry, famous the world over for its fine beverages. Wake up, America. Time to stump the experts. Information, please, is devised for the purpose of giving the American public a break. Each Tuesday night at this time, we assemble 4 experts, and we invite you to torment them, trip them up, and otherwise make their lives miserable by firing questions at them that they cannot answer. Now listen carefully, because we will not repeat this announcement during this broadcast. You send us questions on any subjects with the correct answers. You may submit from 1 to 3 original questions per letter. If your question is used, you receive $5 and $10 additional if it stumps the board. So you may win $15 in all. Don't get bothered if our editorial staff changes or edits your question slightly. All questions become the property of Information, please. Letters with questions are to be addressed to Canada Dry, 1 Pershing Square, New York City. And now here's our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Clifton Fadiman, literary critic of the New Yorker magazine. Mr. Fadiman.
Thank you, Mr. Cross. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like you to remember that Information, please, is as unpredictable as tomorrow's newspaper and as spontaneous as a baby. Our board of experts tonight is evenly divided into 50% veterans or old hand raisers and 50% innocent newcomers. The veterans, of course, are the famous columnist of the New York Post, Mr. Franklin P. Adams, and the equally renowned animated library and filing cabinet, Mr. John Curran. As for the newcomers, one of them is a former professor of mine, who for 4 years during my college days asked me questions I couldn't answer. It's taken a lot of maneuvering, but I finally got him here on the wrong side of the fence tonight. And I am very glad to welcome in my own special way the noted author of Philosopher's Holiday and other books, whose regular job is acting as professor of philosophy at Columbia University, the genial Dr. Erwin Edmund. Our second newcomer and special guest of honor is that delightful actress, monologist, and humorous writer, Cornelia Otis Skinner. This distinguished star will temporarily forsake her one-woman show and star in her own production of George Bernard Shaw's Candida, which will open in Chicago late in January. And now, my learned quartet, if you are ready. Remember to raise your hands if you know the answer or think you do. And if you miss an answer, Canada Dry rings up $10 on the cash register. And that $10 goes out to the lucky questioner. All ready? Here we go. The first question, coming to us from Mrs. Clara Miles of Meriden, Connecticut, is a question associated with numbers. What is commonly associated with each of these 5 numbers? And you must get the answer right 4 out of 5 times. The first one's awfully easy. 48. Mr. Adams.
States in the Union.
States in the Union, quite correct. 98.6. Mr. Adams.
Normal temperature of the human body.
Yes, that's quite right. 366. 366, Mr. Curran.
Days in a leap year.
Days in a leap year. 435. 435.
Skip that and come back to
No, Mrs. Miles is waiting for this one. All right, we'll call that wrong. The answer is the total number of representatives making up Congress. You should know that. They seem like more sometimes, but they're only 435. And fifth and last, 1939. Mr. Curran.
The new year.
Yes, which is what Information, please, and Canada Dry wish all those who are listening in. Well, we got 4 out of 5 on that. The next question comes all the way from San Francisco from Mr. J. Collins. Mr. Collins wants you to give a colloquial or slang expression which suggests the popular conception of each of the following philosophies. There are 4 of them, and you have to get 4 out of 4. Now remember, a slang expression which suggests the popular conception of each of the following philosophies. 1, Stoic. Stoic. Dr. Edmund.
I can take it.
Very good, Dr. Edmund. I hope none of your students are listening in. 2, skeptic. Skeptic. Miss Skinner.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, very good. Had you thought of another one, Mr. Adams?
No, that was mine.
You're sure you didn't lend that to Miss Skinner under the table? 3, platonic. Platonic. Mr. Kieran.
I didn't know it was loaded.
Don't quite see that. Don't quite see that one. I'd like to get another one on platonic. Miss Skinner, did you have an alternative?
I was going to say I'd like to be a sister to you, but I'm
Yes.
afraid that's not.
No, that's
exactly
quite good. Yes, can't I be a sister to you, or can't we be friends? That would be. Would you accept that,
I
Dr.
think it's
Edmund?
worse to be a sister somehow.
Yes. Would that be right, Dr. Edmund, as a...
As a popular conception.
Yes, as a popular conception. And fourth and last, cynic. Cynic. A slang phrase which would give us the popular conception of what a cynic is. Miss Skinner?
Says you.
Says you would be good. So what? Yes, there's a sucker born every minute. Do any of you remember that famous definition of a cynic from Oscar Wilde? This is off the
Kitchen
record.
cynic?
I beg pardon? No, not a kitchen cynic. Ordinary cynic, Mr. Adams. Mr. Edmund?
Cynic is one who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Very good, very good. That's quite correct. Knows his Oscar Wilde, too. All right, that's 4 out of 4. See if we can't get them down. Canada Dry hasn't lost any money so far. The next question comes from this city, from Miss Beulah Vogel. Deals with crimes. Crimes. What crime was committed by each of the following literary characters? I'm going to ask you to get 5 out of 5 on this. The first is Danny Deever. What crime did Danny Deever commit? Miss Skinner had a hand up first.
He shot a comrade sleeping.
Very good. Very good. From what poem?
From Danny Deever by Kipling.
Very good, Miss Skinner. Thank you. 2, Clyde Griffiths. Clyde Griffiths. Mr. Adams had his hand up first.
Clyde Griffiths murdered a girl up in New York State.
Mm-hmm. From what book is it?
Well, An American Tragedy.
Yes, by whom?
Theodore Dreiser.
Pulling teeth to get that out of Mr. Adams, but we got it. You're so coy, Mr. Adams. You really know these things. 3, Captain Blood. Captain Blood. Captain Blood. I'd like to take a chance on that, Miss Skinner.
I know the book, but I don't know what crime he did.
You read the book, but don't know what...
No,
Oh,
I didn't
goodness
read
gracious.
the book, but I own it.
That's a plug, Miss Skinner. Oh, you're that
By
girl who has a book we've
Sabatini.
heard about.
It has a lovely cover. It's by Sabatini.
Well, that's all delightful, but it will not answer the question. I'm sorry.
I know.
Yeah, is
I
it dreadful?
really didn't raise
Do you
my
retire
hand.
in humiliation?
I do.
All right. Any of the rest of you like to guess at that? Mr. Kieran loves
You stabbed a man in a duel.
Not a bit of it. Not a bit of it. What self-confidence, Mr. Kieran? And how ill-founded? No, the answer is piracy. The crime of Captain Blood was piracy, which you might possibly have gathered from the very title. 4, Mrs. Annie Arden. Mrs. Annie Arden. Arden, A-R-D-E-N. Mr. Kieran.
Bigamy.
Bigamy is correct. Want to explain your answer?
She was the wife of Enoch Arden.
Yes, and of another man.
Yes, Philip, well, do I have to... That isn't in the bond.
No, that's not in the bond. Philip Ray, I'll supply it for you free of charge. That's quite right. Married to both of them at the same time. And 5, Tom. T-O-M. Tom. Miss Skinner.
He peeped. Peeping Tom.
Oh, that may be the Tom you know, Miss Skinner. I would not consider peeping a crime, Miss Skinner. A misdemeanor, but not a crime.
He was blinded by it.
Mr. Adams. Yes, theft. What'd he steal?
A pig.
Yes.
And away he run.
Yes, you give that free of charge. Well, we got 4 out of 5 on that, but Miss Vogel wants 5 out of 5. That's going to cost Canada Dry $10. Thanks. The next question from Miss Virginia Strang of Cleveland, Ohio. What are the stock remarks made by the following characters in the old 10th, 23rd melodramas? Now, I'm going to ask you to give these stock remarks with expression or not at all, ladies and gentlemen. What does the irate father say? Mr. Adams.
Never darken my door again.
Absolutely correct, Mr. Adams. 2, the villain. What does the villain say? Mr. Kieran's awfully good at villain. Mr. Adams again.
Why do you fear me, Nellie?
Speech, Mr. Adams. I remember that one. Why is it always Nellie? Always one.
Because it is out of Nellie the Beautiful Cloak Model.
There really is a play called
Yes.
Nellie the Beautiful Cloak Model. I thought that was a joke. All right. The hero. What does the hero say? Miss Skinner.
Saved by the right arm of the backwoodsman.
That's a nice one. Never heard it. It sounds very nice.
I think my father may have said that once.
It's quite possible. And what finally does the heroine say? Mr. Kieran.
Darling.
All right, Mr. Kieran. The one that I learned when I was in school is rags are royal raiment when worn for virtue's sake. Don't you remember that, Mr. Kieran?
Yes, sir.
All right, 4 out of 4. The next one from Denver, Colorado, from Mr. R. George. I'm going to read you an 8-line poem. I'm going to ask you to identify it for me. Here's the poem. In winter, when the fields are white, over the hills and far away, she was a phantom of delight, and finds too late that men betray. Thou deep and dark blue ocean roll, when early falls the dew. I am the captain of my soul, and a right good captain, too. Now, can you identify that poem, Mr. Kieran, all at once?
No, sir, if you'll read them line by line, I'll
Very good.
identify the
Mr.
eight.
Kieran caught on to it. The poem, of course, is made up of 8 lines from 8 separate poems, and you have to identify each line separately. The first line is, in winter when the fields are white. Mr. Kieran.
That comes from Alice in Wonderland.
Not quite. It's Through the Looking Glass.
Oh,
I think I'll let that go. Mayn't I, radio audience? Yes, I hear you saying yes. We'll let it go. Through the Looking Glass is quite right. The second line, over the hills and far away. Mr. Edmund.
W.E. Henley.
Over the hills and far away. From what poem of Henley's was it, Mr. Edmund?
Well, I just know
It's
that.
the refrain to a ballad of Henley.
Is it really?
It is.
Are you sure that you two boys haven't gotten together on this?
No, we'll look it up.
I don't
after the
remember
hour,
it from
Mr.
Henley. I'm going to accept that unless I find that you're wrong. Actually, it's traceable to a poem somewhat older than that. Mr. Kieran.
Well, it's from Tennyson's Sleeping Princess.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right. This confuses me completely. That's 2 new ones.
What you're thinking of is the only tune that he could play was Over the Hills and Far Away.
That's another one, but that's not the one I was thinking of, Mr. Adams. That's
I
3.
think it was.
The one I was thinking of is a song from The Beggar's Opera by John Gay, in which that is the refrain, or part of the refrain. But we have 4 answers to this question, never expected to get 1 out of it. The third line, she was a phantom of delight. Mr. Kieran?
Wordsworth.
Yes, from what poem? Think hard.
Well, beside
Think
the
hard.
springs of Dove or something
Oh,
like that.
no. Mr. Adams.
When first she
When
beamed
first
upon
she
my
beamed upon
sight.
my
Oh, no. No, the answer is simply she was a phantom of delight. That's the name of the poem, too. See how easy it is? Just trust yourself, that's all. Throw away your water wings, boy. 4, and finds too late that men betray. Miss Skinner.
Goldsmith.
Yes.
When lovely woman stoops to folly.
Quite right. And where does the poem appear?
Is it in the Vicar of Wakefield?
Yes, in the Vicar of Wakefield. Thank you very much, Miss Skinner. That's quite correct. 5, thou deep and dark blue ocean roll. Thou deep and dark blue ocean roll, Mr. Adams.
Sounds like Byron.
Yes, that's right. You sniffed out Byron, didn't you? And what poem is it from?
I don't know.
Well, I think I'll let Byron go from Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, famous poem by Lord Byron. 6th line, when early falls the dew. Mr. Kieran has his hand up first.
From Annie Laurie.
Yes, from Annie Laurie. Who wrote it?
Well, there's some dispute about who wrote that, as a matter of fact.
Don't quarrel with me. There is some dispute about it. Yes, it's attributed to Lady Scott, I believe, and to a man named W. Douglas. Is that right, Mr. Kieran?
Right.
Very satisfactory, and Mr. Adams nods his head, too. Very friendly party this evening. 7, I am the captain of my soul. Miss Skinner.
Henley's Invictus.
Henley's Invictus is quite right. And a right good captain, too, Mr. Edmund.
W.S. Gilbert.
That's right. And what,
Pinafore.
Pinafore is quite right. Well, among the 4 of them, they got all of those 8 lines, which make up this very odd poem. Next question. From Miss Rosemarie Aloisio of New York City. Now, here is a question in which our Canada Dry expert, Mr. Cross, is going to exhibit his versatility. He's going to sing for us this evening, and I want you to note, ladies and gentlemen, that it's Canada Dry that gives the sparkle to his voice and also gives it that liquid tone, Mr. Cross. Now, you're going to sing parts of arias from 4 famous operas. And I'm going to ask you to identify the operas. If you can identify the arias in addition, that's all the better. But I'll merely ask for the operas. Is your voice all set, Mr. Cross?
Just singing La La to them.
Yes, La La will do. All right, let's have number 1.
La 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 la.
Hands?
La 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 la.
Miss Skinner?
It's from Tosca. It's Scarpia's.
Yes, it's from Tosca. E luce van, is it luce van le stelle, is it?
I don't know.
The stars are
the
shining. Is that right, Mr.
actual
Cross? Stars are shining. All right, the second one. Second aria.
La 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 la.
Dr. Edmund?
The prize song from the Meistersing.
Thank you, Dr. Edmund. That's quite right. Third. Miss Skinner?
Samson and Delilah.
Yes, and what's the aria called, do you know?
Mon cœur ouvre à ta voix.
Yes, I didn't expect to get it in French. That's complimentary and extra. My heart of thy
showing off.
sweet voice in English. Samson and Delilah of Saint-Saëns. And fourth and last.
La 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 la.
Mr. Adams.
That's from Lucia di Lammermoor.
Yes, who wrote it?
Donizetti.
Donizetti, and it's, what's the aria known as?
Sextet.
The sextet. I think Mr. Cross did it very well for a single man. All right, 4 out of 4. I think that's pretty good considering that no one of these 4 experts this evening is a musical authority per se. I know that Dr. Edmund and Miss Skinner hear a lot of music, but they are a philosopher and an actress, respectively. Now, so far, we have lost, Canada Dry has lost only $10, which is not good enough for me. We'll see what we can do after Mr. Cross, our expert on Canada Dry, has his say.
Thank you, Mr. Fadiman. Many of our friends have commented on what a happy coincidence it is that Canada Dry sponsors Information Please. For Canada Dry Ginger Ale has all the sparkle of the spontaneous wit and humor heard on this program and all the real pleasure that goes with good radio entertainment. And I'm the expert who is ready to tell you why Canada Dry Ginger Ale has so much sparkle and gives so much pleasure. So from time to time, I'm going to relate the story of Canada Dry, the growing of the finest ginger in Jamaica, purchased by our own resident buyer, the bottling under our own secret process in the most modern plants, scientifically controlled by graduate chemists. For we believe that when you buy Canada Dry Ginger Ale, you want to know why it is one of the finest beverages on the market today, why it supplies quick energy, refreshes inwardly, and aids digestion. In other words, why Canada Dry Ginger Ale is ginger-baiting.
Thanks, Mr. Cross. Our Canada Dry expert made it in exactly 56 questions. And now we'll go on with a question based on the news of last year. This question comes from Mr. H. Robinson of New Orleans, Louisiana. What front-page news event of the year 1938, you remember 1938, Mr. Adams, don't you, is brought to mind by each of the following? I'm going to read 5 phrases, and you have to tell me what 4 out of 5 of them bring to your mind. The first phrase is, fractured transverse process, 3rd lumbar vertebrae. I hardly know what it means, much less what it calls to mind. Mr. Kieran.
Max Schmeling had one of those little items.
That's right. That's right. It's the injury sustained by Schmeling when he was knocked out by Joe Louis. How do you happen to remember that, Mr. Kieran?
Well, my son had one from football.
Oh, I see. Just a family association. 2, report and consultation. What does the phrase report and consultation mean to you? Mr. Adams.
It might have been the illness of James Roosevelt.
Well, it might have been.
They made a report on it, and they had a consultation.
They did. They had both. That's quite true. But I don't think that phrase was used particularly with respect to that. No, Mr. Kieran.
Calling back Ambassador Dodd from abroad.
You've got the right recall, but the wrong ambassador.
Well,
give me another ambassador, and I'll let you
Kennedy.
Go. No.
Well,
Hugh Wilson. Pick another ambassador. Mr. Edmund?
Hugh Wilson.
Yes. Well, I really think I ought to count you wrong on that. Mr.
I
Edmund
can't
came
keep
to bat.
these ambassadors straight.
It is hard to keep them straight. President Roosevelt recalled Ambassador Hugh Wilson from Germany, you remember, and for report and consultation, a phrase used constantly in the newspapers. What does
I had the family right.
I beg pardon?
I had the family right.
Yes, you had the family right, yes. Mr. Adams, thank you. The third one, 17 oil companies. What does the phrase 17 oil companies bring to mind? Mr. Adams.
Mexico?
Yes. Want to tell us a little bit more about Mexico?
No, that's all I know.
That's all you know about Mexico is Mexico. Mr. Kieran, perhaps you can help us out.
Mexico took possession, expropriated, I believe, is the
yes, good
term.
word.
Their possessions, oil lands, wells, and apparatus.
Yes, 17 oil companies were expropriated. United States oil companies and also British. Count that right. What does the phrase 9-year-old crate bring to mind? Mr. Kieran.
The crate in which Mr. Corrigan flew backward forward.
That's right. That's quite right. And fifth and last, poultry racket. Now be careful on this. Poultry racket. Mr. Kieran again.
In the trial of Jimmy Hines.
Yes?
A question was asked by Mr. Dewey, which led to the declaring of a mistrial by the presiding judge.
Yes, and the question had to do with the phrase poultry racket. That's
right.
Absolutely right, Mr. Kieran. Very good, I think. It's a case of Mr. Dewey losing on a foul. Well, we got 4 out of 5 correct. Don't like that one, eh? You do better. The next question comes from Miss Virginia McDaniel of Los Angeles, California. She wants you to quote at least 2 lines following those given of each of the following soliloquies. I'm going to read just the first line, and you'll have to follow it up with 2 or more. These all come from Shakespeare. 1. All the world's a stage. Miss Skinner?
And all the men and women merely players.
Yes, you have to give us another line or 2.
They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his life plays many parts, his life being 7 ages.
Very good indeed. Thank you so much, Miss Skinner. Very well done. 2. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear. Mr. Kieran knows that. Miss Skinner, do you know that one?
I don't know any
more
more
then
than
don't say a word if you don't know it. Mr. Adams.
I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
And the next line. We usually can get Mr. Adams.
That's why I
after
pulled
the
down
second
my
line.
hand.
The good that men do lives after them.
Take another virtue. Or rather, let me have the opposite of good, and you'll be all right.
The evil.
Yes, the evil that men do lives after them. The good is often turred with their bones. Very good. Now, the third is the hardest of all, I think. Speak the speech, I pray you. Speak the speech, I pray you. Mr. Adams?
Trippingly on the tongue.
That's one of the phrases that follows that phrase. Not enough. You usually
As
stop
I gave
at the
it
fifth
to you.
word, don't you?
As I gave it to you.
Not quite. Not quite. If anyone can amend that and get it quite correct, I'll allow it. No? Then I'll have to give it to you
Then
myself.
it comes, or I had as lief the town crier mouth my lines.
Yes, you're getting it in sections. I wish we could
skipped
put
a
that
little
together like a mechano set, Mr. Adams. Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. I think I can only give you half credit on that.
You
which
didn't
is not
ask for
quite
the
enough.
uncut Hamlet, Mr. Fadiman.
I beg pardon?
You didn't ask for the uncut Hamlet.
Oh, I should have asked for the uncut Hamlet, yes. Well, that's 2 out of 3, and that's going to cost Canada Dry $10 going out to Miss McDaniel. Thank you. Let's try a question now based on old-time songs. This comes from Mr. A. Austin of Boston. He wants you to answer the following questions about old-time songs. There are 4 of them, and you have to get 3 out of 4. In the song, For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, why did the bear go over the mountain? Mr. Kieran.
To see the other side.
Yes, to see what he could see, which was the other side of the mountain. Very good. In the song, Hinky Dinky Parley-Vous, why did the 2 German officers cross the Rhine? Mr. Kieran, aren't you a veteran?
I didn't get up to the Rhine.
Sorry. The answer is to kiss the women and drink the wine, which you might have guessed, Mr. Kieran, as a matter of fact.
Ours was all about our adjutant.
Not on the air.
Oh, yes, we are. Now, the third one, in the song Call Me Up Some Rainy Afternoon, What did the girl promise when she asked the boy to call her up some rainy afternoon? Mr. Adams, I'm sure, knows that.
The rhyme I know is spoon, but that's all I know about it.
You ought to be able to fill that in, Mr. Adams, from your own imagination.
I don't know how it goes
that's
after
the tune. I'll arrange for a quiet little spoon. Now, I want you to remember that next time, Mr. Adams. In the song, She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain, what did they say they would do when she came round the mountain? What did they say they would do when she came round the mountain? Well, I'm sorry, the answer is, we will kill the old red rooster. We will kill the old red rooster, and we'll all have chicken dumplings when she comes. Well, that's 3 wrong out of 4, and that's going to cost Canada Dry $10. Thanks. Now, the next question is a sort of hands-across-the-sea one. Comes from Mr. J. Stockton of Toronto, Canada. Give the British equivalent of each of the following American terms. First, men's garters. Mr. Adams.
Sock suspenders.
Very good. A run in a stocking. Miss Skinner.
A ladder.
A ladder is quite right. A highball. Mr. Edmund.
A whiskey and soda.
Yes, and sometimes they leave out the and when they want to be particularly smart, don't they?
They say whiskey and Schweppes.
Whiskey and Schweppes.
They sometimes say a quick one.
Whiskey soda.
Whiskey soda, they do say. For, bouncer. Bouncer. Mr. Kieran.
A chucker out.
A chucker out. And American children call a locomotive a choo-choo, don't they? What do English children call a locomotive when they're feeling affectionate?
I've heard one call it a traction engine.
A progressive school child. No, the answer would be a puff-puff. They call it a puff-puff. Isn't that quaint and cute? A puff-puff. Well, let's see. I don't think we'll have time for very many more questions. So far, we've lost $30. I'm afraid that's all we have time for tonight. In a moment, I'll be giving you the lineup for next week, but in the meantime, Mr. Milton Cross has a word to say.
Now I'm going to tell you how you can get your game of Information Please by mail. First, we assume that since everyone enjoys the good things of life, you already have a few bottles of Canada Dry ginger ale or other Canada Dry beverages at home. If not, your neighborhood store is always ready to send you some. Now, listen closely to these simple directions. Remove the large labels from 2 bottles of any of Canada Dry's many beverages. These labels are glued only on 2 edges. You'll find it's a simple matter to tear off enough of the label so it can be identified easily. Then mail your piece of labels and 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to Canada Dry, 1 Pershing Square, New York. If you live in Canada, the address is Canada Dry, Toronto, Canada. The Information Please game, containing enough questions for 4 typical programs, is one of the solutions to your entertaining problem. So send for your copy tonight. And by all means, don't forget to include your own name and address.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cross. And now, if I may, let me announce our board for next week at the same time. Our 2 regulars, John Kieran and Franklin P. Adams, of course, we cannot dispense with, and they'll be here again. And our semi-regular, Mr. Oscar Levant, will be back in his seat, or at the piano, or wherever he seems most necessary. And this is a very special announcement. Our guest of honor, by overwhelming popular request, will be that incomparable raconteur and star of radio, stage, screen, and literature, Alexander Woolcott. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, letters with questions are to be addressed to Information Please, Canada Dry, 1 Pershing Square, New York City. All questions become the property of Information Please.
Canada Dry ginger ale, sparkling water, lime Ricky, and Tom Collins mixer come in convenient-sized bottles for every occasion. These exceptionally fine beverages are economical, too. For the largest bottle, the family size, costs only 15 cents plus usual deposits. And now we bid you all good night.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
That's your old-time radio fix for this week. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Be sure to subscribe to The Chronic Rift on iTunes or visit us frequently at chronicrift.com.
What a voice. What a voice. Simply means ink. A dink-a-doo. A dink-a-dee. Good night, folks. Signing off.
When did you meet your wife, Walter?
I met her 7 years ago on New Year's...
Was she glutenating then?
No. In Seattle, Washington.
You met her in Seattle?
Mm-hmm. On New Year's Eve. And we were married a week later in Reno, Nevada.
Well, could you give us some details of this whirlwind courtship?
Well, I met her at 8:20 on New Year's Eve, or 8 o'clock, and at 8:20 I decided I was going to ask her to marry me, which I did at 12:20 that night, which she did a week later.
You must have been in pretty good shape if you could still tell time on New Year's Eve, 4 hours after the party started.
Well, it was a strange sort of a party. We went over to listen to symphony records at a sorority sister house of hers. We listened to Walk Through a Paradise Garden by Delius. And
you were listening to Paradise Garden by Delius on New Year's Eve?
That was the name of the symphony.
Yeah. How long did this piece take, this Delius piece?
They served coffee at intervals. In which
this is a whole evening of Delius?
A whole evening of Delius, punctuated by coffee with sugar and cream and talk, as it were.
Did this girl know much about you, Walter? I mean, prior to this orgy that you threw there on New Year's Eve?
Yes.
I'm surprised the joint wasn't raided.